quiet and listened attentively. She heard the voice again and said, "Oh, whoever you may be, you have made me hear your voice. Have you got something to help me?" And behold, she saw an angel at the place of Zamzam, digging the earth with his heel, or his wing, till water flowed from that place. She started to make something like a basin around it, using her hand in this way, and started filling her water skin with water with her hands, and the water was flowing out, after she had scooped some of it. The prophet added, "May Allah bestow mercy on Ishmael's mother. Had she let the Zamzam flow without trying to control it, or had she not scooped from that water, to fill her water skin, Zamzam would have been a stream flowing on the surface of the earth." The prophet further added, "Then she drank water and suckled her child. The angel said to her, 'Don't be afraid of being neglected, for this is the house of Allah which will be built by this boy and his father, and Allah never neglects his people.'" The house, that is Kaaba, at that time was on a high place resembling a hillock, and when torrents came they flowed to its right and left. She lived in that way till some people from the tribe of Juram or a family from Juram passed by her and her child, as they, that is the Juram people, were coming through the way of Kada. They landed in the lower part of Mecca, where they saw a bird that had the habit of flying around water and not leaving it. They said, "This bird must be flying around water, though we know that there is no water in this valley." They sent 1 or 2 messengers who discovered the source of water, and returned to inform them of the water. So, they all came, towards the water. The prophet added, Ishmael's mother was sitting near the water. They asked her, "Do you allow us to stay with you?" She replied, "Yes, but you will have no right to possess the water." They agreed to that. The prophet further said, Ishmael's mother was pleased with the whole situation, as she used to love to enjoy the company of the people. So they settled there, and later on they sent for their families, who came and settled with them, so that some families became permanent residents there. The child, that is Ishmael, grew up and learnt Arabic from them, and his virtues caused them to love and admire him as he grew up, and when he reached the age of puberty, they made him marry a woman from amongst them. After Ishmael's mother had died, Abraham came after Ishmael's marriage in order to see his family that he had left before, but he did not find Ishmael there. When he asked Ishmael's wife about him, she replied, "He has gone in search of our livelihood." Then he asked her about their way of living and their condition, and she replied, "We are living in misery, we are living in hardship and destitution," complaining to him. He said, "When your husband returns, convey my salutation to him and tell him to change the threshold of the gate of his house." When Ishmael came, he seemed to have felt something unusual, so he asked his wife, "Has anyone visited you?" She replied, "Yes, an old man of so-and-so description came and asked me about you, and I informed him, and he asked about our state of living, and I told him that we were living in a hardship and poverty." On that Ishmael said, "Did he advise you anything?" She replied, "Yes, he told me to convey his salutation to you and to tell you to change the threshold of your gate." Ishmael said, "It was my father, and he has ordered me to divorce you. Go back to your family." So Ishmael divorced her, and married another woman from amongst them, that is Juram. Then Abraham stayed away from them for a period as long as Allah wished, and called on them again, but did not find Ishmael. So he came to Ishmael's wife, and asked her about Ishmael. She said, "He has gone in search of our livelihood." Abraham asked her, "How are you getting on?" Asking her about their sustenance and living, she replied, "We are prosperous and well off, that is, we have everything in abundance." Then she thanked Allah. Abraham said, "What kind of food do you eat?" She said, "Meat." He said, "What do you drink?" She said, "Water." He said, "O Allah, bless their meat and water." The prophet added, "At that time they did not have grain, and if they had grain, he would have also invoked Allah to bless it." The prophet added, "If somebody has only these 2 things as his sustenance, his health and disposition will be badly affected, unless he lives in Mecca." The prophet added, Then Abraham said Ishmael's wife, "When your husband comes, give my regards to him, and tell him that he should keep firm the threshold of his gate." When Ishmael came back, he asked his wife, "Did anyone call on you?" She replied, "Yes, a good-looking old man came to me." So she praised him and added, "He asked about you and I informed him, and he asked about our livelihood, and I told him that we were in a good condition." Ishmael asked her, "Did he give you any piece of advice?" She said, "Yes, he told me to give his regards to you, and ordered that you should keep firm the threshold of your gate." On that Ishmael said, "It was my father, and you are the threshold of the gate. He has ordered me to keep you with me." Then Abraham stayed away from them for a period as long as Allah wished, and called on them afterwards. He saw Ishmael under a tree near Zamzam, sharpening his arrows. When he saw Abraham, he rose up to welcome him, and they greeted each other as a father does with his son, or a son does with his father. Abraham said, "O Ishmael, Allah has given me an order." Ishmael said, "Do what your Lord has ordered you to do." Abraham asked, "Will you help me?" Ishmael said, "I will help you." Abraham said, "Allah has ordered me to build a house here," pointing to a hillock higher than the land surrounding it. The prophet added, "Then they raised the foundations of the house, the Kaaba." Ishmael brought the stones and Abraham was building, and when the walls became high, Ishmael brought this stone and put it for Abraham, who stood over it and carried on building, while Ishmael was handing him the stones, and both of them were saying, "O our Lord, accept this service from us. Verily, you are the all-hearing, the all-knowing." The prophet added, Then both of them went on building and going round the Kaaba, saying, "O our Lord, accept this service from us. Verily, you are the all-hearing, the all-knowing." 2.127. Volume 4, Book 55, number 584, narrated by Ibn Abbas. When Abraham had differences with his wife, because of her jealousy of Hajar, Ishmael's mother, he took Ishmael and his mother and went away. They had a water skin with them containing some water. Ishmael's mother used to drink water from the water skin so that her milk would increase for her child. When Abraham reached Mecca, he made her sit under a tree and afterwards returned home. Ishmael's mother followed him, and when they reached Kedah, she called him from behind, "O Abraham, to whom are you leaving us?" He replied, "I am leaving you to Allah's care." She said, "I am satisfied to be with Allah." She returned to her place and started drinking water from the water skin, and her milk increased for her child. When the water had all been used up, she said to herself, "I'd better go and look so that I may see somebody." She ascended the Safa mountain and looked, hoping to see somebody, but in vain. When she came down to the valley, she ran till she reached the Marwa mountain. She ran to and fro, between the two mountains, many times. She said to herself, "I'd better go and see the state of the child." She went and found it in a state of one on the point of dying. She could not endure to watch it dying and said to herself, "If I go and look, I may find somebody." She went and ascended the Safa mountain and looked for a long while but could not find anybody. Thus she completed 7 rounds of running between Safa and Marwa. Again she said to herself, "I'd better go back and see the state of the child." But suddenly she heard a voice, and she said to that strange voice, "Help us if you can offer any help." Lo, it was Gabriel who had made the voice. Gabriel hit the earth with his heel like this. Ibn Abbas hit the earth with his heel to illustrate it, and so the water gushed out. Ishmael's mother was astonished and started digging. Abu al-Qasim, that is the prophet, said, if she had left the water flow naturally without her intervention, it would have been flowing on the surface of the earth. Ishmael's mother started drinking from the water and her milk increased for her child. Afterwards some people of the tribe of Juram, while passing through the bottom of the valley, saw some birds, and that astonished them, and they said, "Birds can only be found at a place where there is water." They sent a messenger who searched the place and found the water, and returned to inform them about it. Then they all went to her and said, "O Ishmael's mother, will you allow us to be with you, or dwell with you?" And thus they stayed there. Later on her boy reached the age of puberty and married a lady from them. Then an idea occurred to Abraham which he disclosed to his wife, Sarah. "I want to call on my dependents I left at Mecca." When he went there, he greeted Ishmael's wife and said, "Where is Ishmael?" She replied, "He has gone out hunting." Abraham said to her, "When he comes, tell him to change the threshold of his gate." When he came, she told him the same, whereupon Ishmael said to her, "You are the threshold, so go to your family, that is, you are divorced." Again Abraham thought of visiting his dependents whom he had left at Mecca, and he told his wife, Sarah, of his intentions. Abraham came to Ishmael's house and asked, "Where is Ishmael?" Ishmael's wife replied, "He has gone out hunting," and added, "Will you stay for some time and have something to eat and drink?" Abraham asked, "What is your food, and what is your drink?" She replied, "Our food is meat, and our drink is water." He said, "O Allah, bless their meals and their drink." Abu al-Qasim, that is prophet, said, "Because of Abraham's invocation there are blessings in Mecca." Once more Abraham thought of visiting his family he had left at Mecca, so he told his wife, Sarah, of his decision. He went and found Ishmael behind the Zamzam well, mending his arrows. He said, "O Ishmael, your Lord has ordered me to build a house for him." Ishmael said, "Obey the order of your Lord." Abraham said, "Allah has also ordered me that you should help me therein." Ishmael said, "Then I will do." So both of them rose, and Abraham started building the Kaaba, while Ishmael went on handing him the stones, and both of them were saying, "O our Lord, accept this service from us verily, you are the all-hearing, the all-knowing." 2.127. When the building became high and the old man, that is Abraham, could no longer lift the stones to such a high position, he stood over the stone of Al-Maqam, and Ishmael carried on handing him the stones, and both of them were saying, "O our Lord, accept this service from us, verily you are all-hearing, all-knowing." 2.127. Volume 4, Book 55, number 585, narrated by Abu Dar. I said, "O Allah's apostle, which mosque was first built on the surface of the earth?" He said, "Al-Masjid ul-Haram in Mecca." I said, "Which was built next?" He replied, "The Mosque of Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem." I said, "What was the period of construction between the two?" He said, 40 years. He added, "Wherever you may be and the prayer time becomes due, perform the prayer there, for the best thing is to do so, that is to offer the prayers in time." Volume 4, Book 55, number 586, narrated by Anas bin Malik. When the mountain of Uhud came in the sight of Allah's apostle, he said, "This is a mountain that loves us and is loved by us. O Allah, Abraham made Mecca a sanctuary, and I make the area, in between these two mountains, of Medina, a sanctuary." Volume 4, Book 55, number 587, narrated by Aisha, the wife of the Prophet. Allah's apostle said to her, "Don't you see that when your folk built the Kaaba, they did not build it on all the foundations built by Abraham?" I said, "O Allah's apostle, why don't we rebuild it on the foundations of Abraham?" He said, "But for the fact that your folk have recently given up infidelity, I would have done so." Narrated Ibn Umar. Aisha must have heard this from Allah's apostle, for I see that Allah's apostle used not to touch the two corners facing Al-Hijr, only because the house had not been built on the foundations of Abraham's. Volume 4, Book 55, number 588, narrated by Abu Humayd as-Sa'idi. The people asked, "O Allah's apostle, how shall we ask Allah to send blessings on you?" Allah's apostle replied, "Say, O Allah, send your mercy on Muhammad and on his wives and on his offspring, as you sent your mercy on Abraham's family, and send your blessings on Muhammad and on his offspring, as you sent your blessings on Abraham's family, for you are the most praiseworthy, the most glorious." Volume 4, Book 55, number 589, narrated by Abdur Rahman bin Abi Layla. Ka'b bin Ujra met me and said, "Shall I not give you a present I got from the Prophet?" Abdur Rahman said, "Yes, give it to me." I said, "We asked Allah's apostle, saying, O Allah's apostle, how should one ask Allah to send blessings on you, the members of the family, for Allah has taught us how to salute you in the prayer?" He said, "Say, O Allah, send your mercy on Muhammad and on the family of Muhammad, as you sent your mercy on Abraham and on the family of Abraham, for you are the most praiseworthy, the most glorious. O Allah, send your blessings on Muhammad and the family of Muhammad, as you sent your blessings on Abraham and on the family of Abraham, for you are the most praiseworthy, the most glorious." Volume 4, Book 55, number 590, narrated by Ibn Abbas. The Prophet used to seek refuge with Allah for Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein and say, "Your forefather, that is Abraham, used to seek refuge with Allah for Ishmael and Isaac by reciting the following: O Allah, I seek refuge with your perfect words from every devil and from poisonous pests and from every evil, harmful, envious eye." Volume 4, Book 55, number 591, narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's apostle said, "We are more liable to be in doubt than Abraham when he said, 'My Lord, show me how you give life